You don't have to say one word. I should be able to determine exactly where you stand in life simply by watching you. Simply by watching your feet. Good evening. My name is Teresa Snipes, and I'm the founder of WatchMyFeet.org, an organization dedicated to uplifting, inspiring, and educating people on how to move into alignment with their purpose. And tonight, we're doing just that. Tonight, I bring you the first of a 6-part Fireside Chat Web Series meant to inspire, uplift, keep it real, and go deep on the things that really matter to us. So sit back, kick off your shoes, and watch this. When she remembered who she was, the game changed. That's the theme here tonight. Tonight we have Adrian Sims. She grew up in Jacksonville, Florida.
Correct.
She went to FAMU,
FAMU.
and she changed her game. She put it all on the line as a single mom. She risked everything to start her own company. And now she's reaping the benefits. She is inspiring her staff. She is helping her customers. And now she's calling her own shots. So welcome, Adrian Sims.
Thank you.
So, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
You feeling good?
Yes.
I bet you are. Yes. I wanted to say, thank you for sharing your story, because I don't think women do enough of that. I think we talked about that earlier. We need to share more. We need to understand that we're all in this thing together. We're all going through the same things. So my intention here tonight is for anybody who is trying to birth something, whether it's a book, whether it's live on purpose, whether it's a promotion at work, to stay at home, to be a stay-at-home, whatever your thing is, it's really about the process in which you go through, no matter what outcome it is. And so I invited Adrienne here because she's done just that. And we're hoping to get inside of your head to understand what that process looks like, what it feels like, so that you can start to identify that you're really going through the same things. So I told her we're gonna go deep. We're gonna keep it real. That's the thing.
Right.
So get ready.
Okay.
So for the first question I want to ask her is, tell us the woman you were before the vision happened. Who were you? And paint a picture of her.
Let's see, I was in corporate America. I worked for State Farm for 20-something years. Did the same job, pretty much. Moved around, but did the same job. So before the vision, I really didn't have a vision. And then I decided one day that, you know what, I did not want to work for anyone else. I wanted to determine my future. And like we discussed before, I have a 7-year-old daughter. So I knew that in corporate, you got to ask for someone off if she's sick. And her dad works for the same company as well. So I knew that I had to do something, but I couldn't let fear keep me back. Because I think for so many years, particularly when you started with a corporation 21 years ago, just to get in the door, the color of your skin, that was a big thing. So for me, I had to take away the fear.
Mm-hmm. Did you have any insecurities? What was your mental, capacity to even think you could do something like this? What were your insecurities? Did you doubt yourself at all?
Oh yeah. I had a lot of doubts. You think about it. It's, for example, when I called one of the recruiters one day and I said, hey, I really want to be a State Farm agent. And she's like, I'm like, what are they looking for? And she's like, well, you've only done the same job for 21 years, so it's going to be really tough for you. So immediately I was like, oh my gosh, So you're right, I had a lot of fear, a lot of insecurities, because you've only done the same thing for, years. You're a single mom, you're an African American female, And those are two things that we're taught that, and particularly in insurance, and being an insurance agent, it's always been males, mostly males. You don't see no white males.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had a lot of fears, but I tell the story. I was in the car one day, and I was listening to Joe Osteen, and he talked about favor and asking God to show you signs if it's for you. So that really helped a lot.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I'll keep going back to this, but we all encounter those insecurities. There's always going to be someone to tell us we can't do it or we shouldn't do it. And you just have to identify. There was a quote that, I think it was Maya Angelou. She was with Oprah in an interview. And I actually wrote it down. She said, what did she say? She said, what allows me to go on from darkness into darkness is a profound faith. I come from the Creator just like everybody else, trailing wisps of glory. So all I have to do is pray, prepare myself, pray again, center myself, and then get to work. So, I wrote that down because you have to be able to stop the negativity and the things that come to make you think you can't. You are a child of God just like anyone else.
Correct.
You can do it.
And you have to get rid of the negative energy. And I'm just an honest person because I've never been married. And I went through a rocky time. I called when my mother passed away 20 years of breast cancer. Moved to Georgia, and then I'm like, oh, things are great. I'm going to open my business. Then boom, my dad calls me one day, and I call him back, and he's having a stroke, and he dies on the phone while I'm talking to him. So, and then immediately after that, oh my God, I'm pregnant. And that was never my dream. I had the white picket fence. That's how my life was going to be. Ended up dating my my daughter's father. Wasn't the best relationship. He's an awesome father. So it's not about, but we just weren't compatible. And then I decided, when you're going through those relationships, I'm mad at you, this is going on, it takes a lot of energy. So I never forget, it was August, and I said, you really want your business, but if you could take all of this anger and the bitterness, if you can take that energy and put it towards your business, you would be extremely successful. So I made a decision in August. I said, if it doesn't get better by Christmas, I'm gone. Well, I couldn't wait for Christmas, it was Thanksgiving. And we co-parent, so it's not anything negative on him. It's just, I didn't want to live my life and look up 20 more years at a company that you're not happy. You're happy. And I said, the worst thing could happen is you can try it, it doesn't work out. You can always go back and work for corporate America again.
Right.
So
that's awesome. You speak of single moms. I have so much respect for a single mom. I do. I'm not a single mom now, but it's still hard. There's still so much to do. So as a single mom, you shared this story with me when I called you to ask you to do this, but she had a creative way for studying to do the things that she needs to do. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, my motto is winning with no excuses. Yes, I'm a single mom. You don't have any parents here and no family, but you got to do it. So I'm like, okay, how are you going to do it? So, because in order to become an agent, you have to get licensed. So I'm like, how am I going to get licensed? You work all day. So anyway, I took her to the one that like Monkey Joe's and Get Air. And I'm like, you know what, you can take your kid there for $7 all day. I put my headsets in. I sat by the door so I know she wouldn't leave, and I studied. But you have to find
creative ways.
You gotta find creative ways to do it, because you can't if you're gonna use excuses, you're not gonna get where you need to go. And for me, I had to set a goal. You're gonna pass this test, you got 2 months to do it. Because if you don't set a timeline, it's just gonna linger on and on and on. And I knew that, this is my goal. I'm gonna be focused and I'm gonna get it. So,
Awesome. I don't think I would have thought of that. I mean, that was just too creative.
Yeah.
But that I will keep that in mind going forward. So what I hear you say is, woman first, right? She's African American, right? Single mom. She has no support system because her family is in Florida.
And in South Carolina, yes.
South Carolina, Florida. Everything seemed to be stacked up against you, and you have this vision of what you want to do. Tell us the moment you decided to do this. Where were you? What did that feel like? How did you know? What was that thing inside of you that, was there a trigger? I think
it was the relationship was a trigger. And it was all about my energy and knowing that, too, I'm competitive. I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm good. You know what I mean? And I've always wanted to do, even prior to the relationship, I wanted to always own my own business. But I think that pushed me, although it was, and at that time I thought it was something negative, but I'm thanking him today. Thank you. Because it pushed me. Everybody had something, whether it's a boss, but I think that really, it's just a light bulb went off. You are wasting a lot of energy.
right.
And, so just move on and take that energy and do something positive for you and your daughter.
And wow.
And also being an example for her, too. And I had to also say to myself, what would I tell her in this situation? You can do anything that you want to do, because you gotta have faith, and you gotta have courage, and you gotta have favor. And I prayed for favor, and that's when the doors started opening. For example, when you're doing an agency, State Farm, you have to talk to the executives, and I'm like, I'm not a kiss-up person. That's just not, my personality. So, in a week, I was in the car and I said, God, if it's for me, show me some signs and give me some favor. So I went back to my desk, and an old boss had sent me like this invitation where you can go and meet executives to talk to them about owning your own business. I'm like, why didn't I get that invitation? Because I'm in, the runnings to have my own business. But I realized I didn't select what State Farm does. They give you can go in and select the areas that you want to particularly have your agency. So I went in and changed some of the areas that I was like, you know what, I don't know anything about South Atlanta, but I'm gonna put that on there. And probably about 2 days later, I got an email. And it was from one of the executives. He's like, you selected Fayetteville, Georgia as one of your areas. I would like to interview you. The posting comes down on Friday. And I'm like, God, is that you? Because I prayed about it. And then that Friday, I waited till because it came down on Friday, I waited till 8:00 p.m. on Friday. I had never been to Fayetteville, Georgia. And I put in for it. And then Monday, I got an email, you have an interview in Birmingham on Wednesday. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have an interview on Wednesday. I have to do a business plan for an area that I've never been to before, and interview with an executive. I had 24 hours.
Wow.
And then I went and interviewed, and on Friday he called me and said, I selected you.
Wow. Wow.
But I think it's about being prepared,
Yes.
and having the faith to do it, too.
Yeah, and I really feel like once you really make the decision, and when I say make the decision, I mean mind, body, and spirit. Because in your mind you can do something, but if you're physically not doing it and putting the effort, it's not getting done. So once you really make that decision, mind, body, and spirit, I think God, the universe, your creator, watches over you and rises up to meet you where you need to be met.
I think you have to do the things, my prayers are always, I'm going to do what I can do, and then I let him do what I can do. And I always said when I got this opportunity, I would never leave his name out of it. Because sometimes we take I did this. And there's certain things that I had to study, I had to prepare, but I had to believe.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think he uses, these special people. It's just ordinary people that he uses, to do these things so that in the end, I can tell you all it was because of him that I was able to do it.
You have to give him all the
You
glory.
have to give him all the glory. Yeah.
So now, tell us a little bit about your day. Like, you have a staff now, right?
Yeah.
How does that feel?
I have a staff of 3. It feels good. And that was one of the things in corporate America because, when you manage in corporate America, they somewhat tell you how to treat people. But when you own your own business, you have the flexibility to treat people how you feel like they should be treated.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have someone over you saying, don't do this, you can't do that, You can offer them incentives, So it is, some days it is a challenge, when you become a business owner, before then I was a mom, and I worked for State Farm, so I was a mom and an employee and a sister and a daughter, but my parents are not here. But when you open your own business, you wear a whole lot of other titles.
Mm-hmm.
So on that other side, God gives you double responsibility too.
Mm-hmm.
So like now I say I'm the janitor. Sometimes I clean my own office.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a therapist because I have clients that have issues. I have employees that have issues. You're a bookkeeper because you got to keep your books.
Mm-hmm.
You got, not an accountant, but to have a really good accountant, but you got to know some things about accounting. And those are not some of the things that I thought about. So with that came increased responsibility.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I like how you said that because, anything that's God-worthy, I'd say, it does come with a lot of responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've learned is that it comes with fear too.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not scared, it's probably not big enough, right? And so that actually helped me, just knowing that, because I told you I used to run from it all the time. It's fear, oh my gosh, I gotta go. But once I learned that fear is actually a part of the process, right?
Right.
Then you're able to accept that more.
Mhm.
And it like you said, it's a heavy responsibility when you're managing people, and you gotta pay them, right?
Yeah.
So they depend on it, right?
Everybody gets paid before you get paid.
Yeah. So tell us about that part of it, because we're used to 9 to 5s. That's that stability that we have. But you walked away from that for something else. Tell us a little bit about that and how every day, you're responsible for.
Yeah.
And
It's a huge responsibility, but you have to hold your team accountable. That's the hard part. That's another hard part, because sometimes people work for you, they don't like to be held accountable. And it's a balance between being their friend. Sometimes they think you're their friend. No. You have to hold your team accountable, and you have to surround yourself with people in that industry. And that's the blessing, is that I do have other females, I have other guys, and it's different races that I, call on, hey, how are you handling this? Because you can't live in that bubble by yourself.
Right.
So you have to have a good network of people, and it has to be people that don't always see the things the way you see it. And I have a coach, and it's about getting the help that you need too, because you don't know everything.
Yeah.
So, but it is a challenge, I wouldn't say that, but I think in my business, I sell something that everybody has auto insurance. So you have to have it. And it's about also, making sure, you stay in touch with your clients and you give them what they need as well.
That's awesome. I really, just kind of, I guess, respect the process in this whole thing. Is there anything that you would want to share with us? Just something that you learned that you want to share for people who want to start their own company. Advice, any type of anything that you want to share?
I think you can't ever do without finances. I think that's the biggest thing, is that you have to have the money. And being an entrepreneur, you know, it's before then you see your friends doing different things, but it's a sacrifice. But it's the sacrifice that I'm making now, or I made before, so that I can live my life like others want to live in a couple of years. So I think that's the biggest thing. And if you're thinking about being an entrepreneur, like I said, you're going to need money. The biggest advice I can say is get your money before you get your business. While you have your job, you ask for the loans. You can't compete with the Joneses because, like I said, you live in your own little world. But I think for the most part, it's about just having the faith and staying in the Word, and preparing yourself. And I think for us, the mind is the hardest thing because your mind will tell you no. Other people will tell you no. And my philosophy has always been, because I've moved different places, and like if I don't like it, I can always go back, but I've never went back. So you just have to have faith in yourself, and you have to have the courage.
The courage, that's a big one.
Yeah, you have to have the courage.
Yeah. Do you guys have any questions from the audience? Maybe?
Well, this is my question. You said you worked for State Farm as just a regular agent before?
In claims.
Oh, in
worked
claims.
on auto claims.
Okay, for 20 years. And then you decided, but you also did the daycare, I believe? So was that? Oh.
No, we just met at the daycare.
Oh, okay. I thought you were working there. Okay.
I'm interested in sort of your leadership perspective, or what leadership books or principle do you lead by in your company?
I'm reading now a book called The Energy Bus, and it's mainly just making sure that you hire people that see your vision too. Because sometimes you hire people and they have to understand your vision for your company, because if not, they're not going to work. And I think that's probably been the most helpful book. It's just making sure you get the right energy in your office. Every day that I come in, I'm not perfect. So every day is not a perfect day for me. But when I step in the door, I make sure that I'm out talking to my team, because they feed off of my energy. So that's one of the biggest things that I've learned. Yeah.
Go ahead.
What would you tell yourself 20 years prior to you getting to this point? Like your first day at State Farm, and you're going to be there for 20 years for your life. What would you tell yourself that first day?
That's a good one.
That is a good one. Well, it's funny because my niece just started, and I told her that don't do the same job for too long. That was the one thing that I did tell her. But I think when you work in insurance, it teaches you about people, it teaches about finances, just life in general. Because when you're in claims, you're dealing with people that die, death claims. You're dealing with people with fraudulent claims. So for her, I think it's a good thing, because sometimes you can be a little naive, but don't stay in the job, for too long. Keep changing, and go for your goals. And granted, 20 years ago in corporate America for an African American female is totally different than it is now. I mean, I can remember at one point being the only one in the department, but State Farm, they've changed a lot now. So you see more people, but 20 years ago, you had to be the cream of the crop just to get in the door. And I can remember my first interview that I had 2 interviews back to back, and the first one had five white males, and the second interview had 7. It was 1 white female, and the rest was white male. Yeah. So, and when I got the job, I was told you'll get it because they need some black people. So times have changed. So you wonder, why did I stay in the job for 20 years? Because it was different 20 years ago in corporate America than it is now.
Right. Well, let's talk about that a little bit. So we talked about you being the only woman sometimes, female, African American. Did you actually face any issues because of that? Like simply because you are who you are in trying to start the business? Or did everything pretty much go as you thought it would?
I think Well, the guy that hired me was an African American guy, so I think, but I don't know if he knew that before he interviewed me. But
And I'm talking about for your company.
for my company, yeah. I mean, because what happens is sometimes when you start your business, State Farm will give you some clients, and one of the agents passed away, so I got some of his clients, and so he was an older white gentleman. So of course he had a lot of older, white clients. And with my name, people don't know what I am. They walk in the door, oh, you're Adrian. Yes, I am. And you can tell some will, somebody say, I don't want to stay with you, but for the most part, most of them have stayed with me. But what I find, what I try to do is make them feel comfortable. You can find something in common with just about anyone. And then making sure your team understands that, customer service in my office is extremely important. And so usually I'll, and I'll let them know my background. I'm new to being an agent, but I'm not new to insurance. And that usually helps. And, just sometimes it is fearful, but you have to say if they're going to leave you because of that, they're just going to leave you, because of it. But oh yeah, yeah, I've gotten some of that.
Yeah. Interesting.
How are you able to stay organized, being a mom and then having your own business, and how do you take care of all of it? What's your secret sauce?
I'm still trying to figure it out. Delegate, because sometimes you try to handle everything, but with my team, it's just delegating. My daughter does go to her dad's house every other weekend, so I take that time to take my own self-care, because that's important too, because when you become a business owner, you think about it 24 hours a day, literally you do. But just making sure I take time out and delegating. And it's funny because with her now, I'm like, oh my God, I need help. And I'm like, she has 2 hands. I don't know, she's 7. So we're starting on, you need to clean, she cleans her room. She's starting to learn how to fold her clothes. And, maybe next year she'll start, washing her clothes. But I'm like, so that's a big thing. Just delegate. She's old enough now, to help. Sometimes we get into this thing, I need to take my kids on these trips. I need to do all these things. You need to learn life skills.
Yes.
You need to learn some life skills now. So we're going to teach you early.
Right.
Because your mother needs help.
Which is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing
Yes.
at all.
Yeah.
You mentioned taking care of you, and that's one of my favorite things, because I didn't do that for so long, and now I'm learning that is so needed, because if your cup is empty, how can you fill someone else's cup? So you every 2 weeks, is that like on the calendar? That's you. That's you taking care of yourself.
Every 2 weeks, she's with them now. And he lives, so we meet in Buckhead. And she's yours. And then I go take care of me. And then with owning your own business, you do have the freedom of leaving during the day because you are the boss. So some days if I have to run errands, I have a staff. And that was the hard part. The first year is letting it go, but now I'm like, you know what? That's what we pay them for. And that's their responsibility. And as a leader, a good leader, you should be able to lead and have a trusted staff. If I have to watch over you every day, either you don't have the correct staff or something wrong with your leadership skills.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, thank you. Any other questions?
Hey, you're next. Because I'm a single mom.
And I swear, I've been like, wow, like how you said, just everybody's connected, and just hearing your story, I'm like, we could be telling, the same story here.
Yeah.
So, just really inspired by your story.
You just can't tell yourself no. And not to say that I did tell myself no, but then one day I'm like, all right, so it's all in your mind and how you see things. If you sit there and you think, oh my God, like me, I've lost 2 parents. I grieved, so it's not like it was a hard process, but if I thought I'm a single mom, I've lost 2 parents, I can't do this, then, you can.
We actually have the power to do whatever we want to do. You just gotta enact that, and you can do it. God put us here to do that. So This is amazing. Amazing story.
I'm
so happy.
Question. So what was it like starting in a new community? Because you had not been a part of that community. How did you get adjusted?
It was fine. Fayetteville is a little bit different than Johns Creek. I like it because it's not as crowded. And it kind of reminds me of how I grew up in Jacksonville, Florida, because Jacksonville, Florida is kind of like South Georgia, and Fayetteville has that little bit of South Georgia there. But it was fine. I mean, I live and work. I made sure that the school is 5 minutes away, work 5 minutes away, so everything is extremely convenient for me. And also finding a support system, that's important too. So there are other moms at the school, like I had to take a trip and I'm like, hey, can you pick her up, until her dad gets here. So you do have to find, a good support system. So, and I think overall we adjusted, pretty well.
What about the location? I mean, did you have to seek out your own location, or was that already kind of on the map for someone who wanted to start in Fayetteville?
Well, they tell you the city, but then you have to, find your own space. So you decide where you want to put your office. You decide on your staff. You decide on you have to buy your office furniture. So everything, I mean, you're in, let's say I had the interview on a Friday, and then they told me 30 days later was my date to start my training. And then in 4 months, you're going to open your doors. So then I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to find a new school. You got to find somewhere to live. You got to find a staff.
And that is why the two conversations happened. And she was like, I'm starting my company. And then she was like, I'm leaving. So it makes sense now. It's like, no, it's happening.
The training
also
program is
fast.
set. I got the job, and then 30 days later, you're telling this job bye, and then you're starting your training, and that was 17 weeks. September 1st, your doors will open. So.
So you didn't have time to think, and I think that helps.
Yeah.
Because if you had time to think about it, you might talk
You're
about it.
Right. You're exactly right.
When God answered, He knew.
He knew.
We needed to
He didn't give me any chance. Listen, on a Wednesday, you got to Friday. And then on Monday, you have that interview on Wednesday.
Yes.
That was it. And then you have 30 days, you'll be gone.
Wow.
And that was it. And it went quickly.
And talk to us about, okay, on the other side of it, when you didn't know what was happening, it happened, and now you're here, right? And it probably feels a little bit normal to you after a year, right? So when I say normal, I mean, yeah, I can do this. Versus going into it, you may have this big picture of, oh my gosh, this is going to be overwhelming. And I say that because we can adjust to anything. We're humans, right? We can learn, we can grow, we can do it. It's just a matter of putting that focus behind it.
Right.
So now, I think in 2-3 years, this will be nothing to you. A business owner will be, what is my next thing? What am I doing? How do I grow my business? How do I turn it into the business that I want? So I think that's awesome. We can do it. We can do anything. It's just a matter of learning, educating, applying yourself. Once you get there, it'll be like, okay, I can do this. What's next?
Yeah, what's next? And also every year I do a business plan. And making sure you stay up on top of, your training, and making sure you understand, and like I said, holding your team accountable. I have what I want to make, what I want to do, but every year you have to continually grow yourself. I don't think you ever really, you can't ever say it's all done. It's always continuing, because laws change, prices in insurance change, your team may change. So you're forever growing.
And a part of this was for Brooklyn, I'm sure, is her daughter's name. Does she understand what's happening right now?
Oh yeah, she's like, you work, State Farm, she knows all about insurance. And, she'll pretend, and that's another thing that's good, when school's out, she can come to my office.
Yeah.
So I don't have to worry about, I'm like, okay, come on. And she likes to come.
Yeah.
She'll come and do her cartwheels. And I have to tell her to not talk to my team because they have work to do. Yeah, but that's the beauty of it, you know, is that it gives me that flexibility. Like Thursday, I went to the farm with her on a field trip, but I didn't have to ask anyone. You know, so like I said, if she gets sick in school, come on, let's go. She can come to the office, or I can go home and work. So the beauty of it is I don't have to ask anyone.
Yeah.
I can just do it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great.
And still make money while you're doing it.
That's the real beauty.
That's the
of it,
real
right?
beauty. Yeah.
Wow. And then think of the residual
Mhm.
that you're setting yourself up for just because you took that risk. And that's what it's going to get to, is you'll be making the money without even stepping into the office, maybe, right?
Yeah.
So once you set yourself up, what is the end goal? When you can check that box, what does that look like for you?
I don't know. I mean, my goal is, you know, to have, you know, the financial freedom, you know, and with my business, and that's really the end goal, the financial freedom and making sure my daughter's raised and I get to spend time with her, you know, going through school. In the business I am, it's also about helping people. I mean, because you're always helping people. Like Friday, I had a customer that we went over their life insurance, and that's when to see, hey, people don't like to talk about death, but it's like, hey, if something happened, you know, to your husband, what do you have in place? And she's like, you know, and I'm like, is this enough? You know, so you get, that's the beauty of it. Or if someone, you know, their house burned down, you know, you're there to help them. So, or if they have a car accident, you're there to help them.
So you need to come back and talk to us about, we have things right. So leave your business card.
Yeah, so I mean, that's important. That's what
It
we do. We help them, and the hardest thing, and I haven't had it, but other agents have had it, because if something happens to your spouse, the first person they're gonna call is your insurance company. Do they have life insurance? It's like, well, we asked them, but they said no. So, you know, that's my job, is to educate my clients on what they need. You know, or let them tell me, you know, because everybody's needs are different, you know, but that's important to me, is just making sure. And when I worked in claims, I would see it a lot where people didn't understand their coverages, or they had this accident, they're unable to work, and it's like, okay, do you have short-term disability in place to cover those things, you know, or, we don't have money for a funeral because we don't have life insurance, you know. So those things are important, and that's one reason why I wanted to do it, is because, you know, that's what I've done for 20-something years on the other side. You know, I've seen when they didn't have the protection, now I can kind of prevent that and say, hey, this is what I think you need, let's sit down and talk about it.
Right. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank
Thank
you
you
for
for having
sharing
me.
your story. We appreciate you.